Hi guys, I wanted to get an answer key out to you for week 4. The communism spreads in East Asia. I think I messed up that title there. Communism spreads in East Asia. Sorry about that. And I just wanted to thank everyone for doing great work last week. I'm sure some of you guys want to get your stuff turned in and not have me ask you to rework it or revise it. But I'm really trying to keep some quality control going during this kind of wacky time. So thanks to everyone who did look back at their work a second time, make some changes. And several of you guys are, oh man, you are stepping up and the work you're doing is so awesome. And I just want you to know I'm super proud of you. I know this is a really tough time and a weird kind of way to do school. But boy, oh boy, some of you guys are just impressing me like crazy. So let's go ahead and go over the answers. Not too many questions this week, so this will be pretty short. So I guess let me just pause here. Remember, complete sentences. If not, I'll let one go, but more than that, I'm going to ask you to fix them. Okay, so please do that. Okay, so Manuel, I borrowed your answers. Most of these are from periods 5 or 6 this week. So main successes and failures of the Chinese Communist Revolution. And there are a couple of ways to answer this. I thought Manuel had a really complete answer and talked about both of those things, those parts of the question. So some main successes of the Chinese Communist Revolution was giving land to the poor people and increasing farming and industrial output. Some failures of the Chinese Communist Revolution was food shortages, low quality, and useless goods. So very nice, complete answer, and you did a nice job on that. Thanks, Manuel. Luz, I stole your answer for this one. I liked how you did it. So the question, how did China's relationship with the Soviet Union and the United States change during the Cold War? So you wrote, China's relationship with the Soviet Union and the United States changed during the Cold War mainly because of the high increase of communist rule. The Soviet Union at first gave aid to China despite tensions, but stopped because of their ideological differences, leading them to break ties. The United States disliked that China was under communist rule, but still wanted to improve their relationship with China because of its advantages. All right, so really, really nice complete answer here. I love that you use that word ideological. It's a great vocab word. It just means a set of beliefs. And so this is really important thing. So the Soviet Union and China are going to both be communist, but that doesn't mean they're going to both be exactly the same. And Lucy, you are exactly right here at the end where you say that, hey, the U.S. disagreed with how they're running their country, but they saw that being friends with China, or at least being friendly with China, would have more advantages than disadvantages. And so we did kind of cozy up to them a little bit. Now you might go to, today is China communist? They sell so much stuff. They have this great, big economy, blah, blah, blah. And the answer is in 1989, there was a huge protest at Tiananmen Square, and the government cracked down on the protests. And in the end, the people got no political freedoms, but they did get some economic freedom. So there are some free market zones in China. There is not everyone is equal, monetarily, but that didn't happen until 1989. But I want to remind you guys that even though Karl Marx had the idea of Marxism, which evolved into what we see as communism, that it is not the idea that everyone is equal, does not actually pan out. Okay, so that's what Marx believed, that's what he wanted. But again, the communists all eventually turned into one dictator totalitarian government. So just keep that in mind. I know it's kind of a weird thing, but remember what you see on paper, what you plan does not always turn into what ends up happening. All right, Omar T, my 6th period Omar, I stole this answer from you. So explain when and why the China became involved in the Korean War. And I'm reading this, and actually, I'm noticing there's not really a win, but your why was really good. So oopsies on my part. But I really liked what you wrote here. So I must have been distracted, but I do like this answer. So China became involved with the Korean War when they found out the United States successes during the war and decided to help North Korea later push back the U.S. troops back to the 38th parallel. Okay, now I know why I chose your answer. I apologize. Omar, you do have kind of a time period there. You're not specifically saying a date. So this is going to be in the 1950s. But you've got here, after what event? So I apologize. I'm a little distracted today. Clearly. So anyways, nice answer, Omar. Thank you so much. And this is the China definitely wants to help out the communist North. And this does create some friction with the United States. All right, let's go to the next one. Let me click. My computer's acting up again. Make sure. Oops. Okay. Elizabeth, 6th period Elizabeth. I liked your answer on here. Again, a nice complete answer. You don't just address one country's economic performance. So you have both. So North Korea's economic performance compared to South Korea is different because in North Korea, they went through economic stagnation and decline, while in South Korea, they got military and economic aid from the United States. So that's a great answer. That word stagnation, when something is stagnant, it means it just kind of stays the same. Yeah, definitely true. And then South Korea being, not communist, was going to receive aid from the United States. It's a great ally of ours today as well, I should say. Okay, Rusty, I liked your answer here on this one, so I stole it to share. So Mao, made him Hawaiian Mao, but that's okay. Mao said his beliefs on communism because China was poor due to the corruption in the government. So that was true with Chiang Kai-shek. And Mao at the beginning redistributed peasants their land and ended oppression, which shows he wanted everyone to be equal. And then, of course, things are going to quickly change as he tries to modernize his country. But very nice answer there. Thanks, Rusty. All right, and then how did the U.S. Use the changing relationship between China and the Soviet Union to its own advantage? So Alex P., I stole your answer. It was really nice and thorough. So the U.S. believed China's breakaway from the USSR could lead to surrounding Russia with all U.S. allies from the southwest and east. Knowing this, they set out to ally with China. So really good answer. Definitely remember the United States is trying to contain communism where it's at, not let it spread. But then also there's this goal of kind of keeping the Soviet Union as least powerful as possible because they were the opposing superpower to the United States. So nice job. All right, Noah, I stole this answer. Now, you guys could have had any answer for here as long as you kind of gave me an answer. I stole Noah's. I'll tell you why. Let me read it to you. So this has to do with how might the history of Korea have been different if the UN forces had not stepped in. So had the UN stayed away from the Korean War, South Korea as a country wouldn't exist. The North Koreans were beating the South Koreans before the UN got involved, so it was a good choice to send US troops to aid the South. So I really like this. He's making a guess. In Noah's opinion, South Korea would have been destroyed. I think that's really good. And I just wanted to use this as an example because in history there are 7 C's, and one of the C's is and they stand for different words, right? But one of them is contingency. Contingency is one of my favorite parts about studying history. It's the what ifs, right? Think about like one little change in your day, what an impact that could have had on you, right? So when we talk about history, we talk about these events and how the whole world could be different, right? So it's kind of interesting. Had Korea fallen to communism, would that have affected the United States' role in Vietnam? That's one question that came to my mind because Korean War's in the 50s and then Vietnam's going to be in the 60s. So, would we have sent troops? If we hadn't sent troops, 70,000 Americans died in Vietnam, something like that. And so I think it's 68,000. So those men would have all survived. Think about they would have had children maybe, or maybe the girls that loved them would have married those boys, and then the children they ended up having with other men they fell in love with maybe wouldn't exist. I mean, there's just so many crazy things to think about. Would we have given up on our fight against communism and decided, you know what, this isn't worth it? I don't know. I mean, I just love this question. I just want to make you guys take a guess. I know a lot of you don't like to guess because you don't want to be wrong, but there's nothing,